Hey everybody, welcome to Rolling Movie Reviews. This is Kirk. Thanks for watching. Today we're going to try something a little different. For a while now I've been wanting to find a way to expand Roll and Move from just board game reviews to also doing movie reviews. And I haven't come up with a way to present that yet that I've been very happy with, so that's why it hasn't happened. But I was watching a movie last night, and as I'm watching I said, you know, this is the kind of movie I'd really like to review. So I figured, what the heck, we'll film a review for it, we'll put it out there, and we'll see what happens. So here we go, this is our first movie review. The movie is called The Babadook. It's a horror movie that came out last year, and didn't have a really wide American release. I didn't hear much about it when it first came out. I've been hearing more about it recently through word of mouth, and so I decided to check it out. It's about a family, the single mother who lost her husband under pretty tragic circumstances, and she's left to raise their young son, who has a lot of issues, a lot of fear and anxiety that revolve around the idea that he believes that he sees monsters, and there's monsters out to get him. So the movie starts out about her coping with this and just trying to deal with her little boy and figure out a way to help him. And he just in a really bad way. One night he brings her a book to read to him for bedtime that she doesn't recognize, but he begs her to read it, so she does. And it turns out it's called Mr. Babadook, and it's about this like boogeyman type character that comes out from under the bed or the closet and takes the children away. So of course her son is terrified, and at this point his monster fixation becomes focused on the Babadook, and he convinced the Babadooks there coming after them. And things go from bad to worse for him. Starts to have trouble at school. It's alienating the extended members of their family. So the mother really starts to get frustrated with him, and it was just really at the end of her rope. But then strange things start happening. She tries to destroy the book, and it shows up on their doorstep, reassembled. She starts getting strange phone calls and seeing weird things. And she slowly starts to understand that, you know, maybe the Babadook isn't just in his head. So at that point, the movie's kind of about her descent into that world, and how both her and her son are going to survive this monster. I'm usually not a big fan of modern horror movies. I can enjoy a good horror movie, but recently there's been so much sameness in them that I just really don't put a lot of time into them. Most horror movies, I think, nowadays are just big jump scare fests, and I'm of the opinion if you've seen one jump scare movie, you've seen them all, and you know, there's something and then there's not something, or there's something normal and then it's something not normal, and you know, I can only do this so many times when watching the movie. So most modern horror movies don't interest me that much, but I'm always looking for something new and interesting, and that's definitely what this movie is. It's not a typical horror movie, and I think the main reason that is because it's very personal, and it focuses on this mother and her son, and they both give great performances, both actors. Essie Davis, who plays Amelia the mother, and Noah Wiseman, who plays Samuel the son, both turn in great performances that really make you connect with them. The mother in particular, there's a scene at the beginning of the movie where they're just kind of like jump cutting to different parts of their lives to show the situation they're in, and there's a scene where her son is on her bed and he's just screaming and crying and completely inconsolable, and she just sits on the edge of the bed, and just her face and her body language just shows you what she's feeling, and she just turns into a really real visceral performance of a woman in that situation, and you really feel for her even before things get scary. You really feel for her, and you understand how bad things are in their life. The little boy also does a really great job. It's one of those rare child performances where you stop in the middle and you're like, wow, that's a real little kid doing this. Just because the things he's doing are so adult and so real that you don't expect a real life little kid to be able to wrap all their head around that and perform all that. But he does a really great job. And something else about his performance, and also the way the character is written, is in a lot of movies like this, when you have a little kid and he spends a lot of his time screaming and crying and whining, you can get to the point where, yeah, you may feel bad for him, but also he starts to get a little bit annoying. And that's not the case at all with Samuel, with the little boy in this movie. He's not one of these kids where the monster shows up and he's like, oh no, you know, hiding and scared. He wants to take the monsters on. He booby traps the house Home Alone style to fight the monsters. and he's coming up with little schemes, and he's building little devices to fight the monster with. And there's a scene at the beginning of the movie. I think it's even before the Babadook shows up, when all the monsters are still really in his head. And his mom comes into his room to tell him about her day or whatever, just to have a conversation. And she says something offhand that happened to her and doesn't think anything of it. But for some reason, I forget what the exact circumstance was, but he assumes it's the monsters that did it, whatever she's talking about. So while she's still talking, he doesn't say a word. He just stands up, goes under his bed, grabs one of these monster fighting contraptions that he built, and just heads out the room to fight the monster, like, without saying a word. And you're like, at that point, you're like, I like this kid. This tough kid. And you want to see him. You're rooting for him. You want to see him overcome all the stuff he's going through. And they just do a great job of showing you what they're going through, not just with the monster, like I said, but in their real life. And that's one of the great things the movie does, is take a real-life terror, a real-life horror, and stack a supernatural horror on top of that. And I think that's what the best horror movies do. For example, I think about The Shining, and that's a movie that, in a lot of ways, Babadook reminds me of. But The Shining, things like child abuse and alcoholism. I mean, those are real life horrors that people deal with every day. And you take something real like that, that you can't just wish away or turn the movie off and forget about, and you stack that supernatural element on top of it. That makes for a real scary movie that stays with you. And that's definitely what this movie does. And because the characters are so well done and they're so well acted, like I said, you really start to root for them. And because of how bad things are, before the monster shows up. I mean, it's a horror movie, even if there was no monster. I mean, the things these people have to go through are just so hard and so heartbreaking that by the time the monster does show up, you're not just scared, you're angry. You're mad at the monster because it's terrifying, but you're like, just leave them alone. They've been through so much already. Just go away. Just don't bother these poor people anymore. And so you really connect, which is something that's rare in a horror movie. A lot of horror movies, the characters are just there to die in interesting ways, but you really connect with this family, and that's something that's really fun about it, and really good about it. And it's a scary movie, the way it's shot. Most of it's in their little 2-bedroom working class house, and so it feels very claustrophobic. You don't see much of the monster. A lot of it's left to your imagination, so it just really stays with you. I mean, I had to go down this morning to the basement to get my equipment to film this, and I'm home alone right now, and I was not excited to go down the basement with the memories of the movie going through my head. So it definitely stays with you. It's a very terrifying movie, and very well written, well acted, well directed. So all the way around, I enjoyed it. The only thing that was weird about it is the ending just seemed a little off. Definitely didn't end the way you would expect. But when it's done, you're like, okay, what does that mean, and how do things work? Like, you're given the idea, without giving too much away, that things are going to happen. Something's going to happen from here on out, and you're just left like, okay, why and how? So the ending was a little weird, but it wasn't terrible, and it wasn't completely dissatisfying. So overall, I haven't really thought up a rating system. If I was to go on stars, I'd probably give this 3 stars. A really good movie, and a really great horror movie. I could very easily put this probably in the top 20 of my all-time horror movies. I think it's that good, and so I definitely think if you're into that kind of movie, definitely something you could check it out. Name of the movie is The Babadook, and I think you'll like it. Hey everybody, thanks so much for watching my first ever movie review. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave me a comment, let me know what you thought. Tell me if you want to see me do more movie reviews, and which movies you'd like to see me talk about. Please subscribe to the Roll and Move Reviews YouTube channel, and like our Facebook page. We'll be doing a lot more board game reviews, and hopefully more movie reviews to come. So I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching.